my talk seems to have grown while I've been here, and I've listened to what other people have said. And just start off with an apology, because I haven't been invited. As you've just heard from Colin, I'm a GP in Glossop, and I just happen to be, just the right button, an LMC member. And organisationally, it's the local medical committee that was invited to speak here this evening, and that's why I'm here. And I think it's important to get that bit right, maybe not just for this meeting, but perhaps for others. The local medical committee is something I'm very proud of. It's an organisation that actually predates the NHS. And in all its years of service, it has mostly been about protecting patients. Now, we're in really interesting days, not just technology-wise, but patients, of course, are becoming consumers, and consumers don't need protecting. Consumers have all the power they need. But what makes it even more interesting is that we're in the era of information coming forward that says that what consumers champion for are not necessarily what ill people want. And that's one of the things that's already been said tonight. The only people that don't want this or have reservations are the clinicians. Well, that may be true, and it may be that there are valid reasons behind it. I think to put anybody out of any suffering, if I jump to the conclusion, because this is an EMIS payer's method of enabling access, I think that is a good conclusion. But I just wanted to give a little bit of the pathway to how I got to that. And this isn't myself as an individual, and I made sure that what I was going to say was in favour with the LMC, which is 22 GPs, which face-to-face when they're your GP, as we've also heard, are great guys. But we know when they're not your GPs, they're overpaid fat cats. So I want you to get out of that mindset and just imagine, as I am, I'm somebody's GP somewhere, and so are all the members of the LMC. And what we have is an election every 4 years, and my third year of re-election on the LMC. And interestingly, and for my pains and no doubt Colin's as well, my third re-election of being their ICT representative as well. And I have along something that was written earlier. So that's a bit about us. There's a common misconception that we're a trade union. We're not a trade union. The BNA is a trade union. We don't have to agree with what they say, and quite often we don't agree with what they say. In fact, lots of GPs who are in the audience will realise we all wish the BNA would agree with what GPs say. That's a different story. What we are, consistently, year on year, is something that thinks about the ramifications to our patients and some of the thoughts that actually aren't obvious at first sight at all. On the negative side, and these were discussed in some degree at the Advanced Adopter meeting, we cannot say that all access to records is the same. If we begin to say that record access is great, however it's done, we're on a slippery slope that ends in disaster. There are lots of problems. Some of them are really not that obvious. These are just some of the top 3 that we have. And I know that's very technical looking. I'm very proud of it because I came up with that soundbite myself. When it's sold to us, and I'm not saying that's bad, the image is nearly always, wouldn't this be useful when I'm unconscious in accident and emergency? Why the NHS solution would say accident emergencies only in England and not anywhere else, one wonders. But that's the image in our mind, and we all identify with that. Wouldn't it be good if people would know what was wrong with us, what had been wrong with us? But let's just think a bit further there. We know as GPs, one of the great things, and I mean this wholeheartedly, would be if we didn't have to recreate information that people have painstakingly made, and then it all gets scrambled into paper, and at the moment we have to reassemble it, and there's risks of errors, and it's incomplete. Wouldn't it be great if a parcel of an entire medical history could just go zoom to your next GP? I think we would welcome that. But where does it go? Because other people are champing at the bit to do other things with that information. And once we've got a completely defined electronic record of our existence, it doesn't just have to go to our GP. And back come the old thoughts of, wouldn't it be good if people had two GPs? One where they live, one where they work. Many patients champion that, and yet public health are terrified by it. The death of the registered list, the death of population care in primary care. What if you have 3 GPs? You can have as many GPs as you want with your own parcel of information. And if you don't like the first answer that you get, bring your information with you, go to another GP. And this construct about, and it would be good to the hospital, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't, but which hospital? You can take your packet of information anywhere. I think our local district general hospital will not necessarily be a gainer in something that could go to independent treatment centres. Can go across the sea to India because things are cheap and they need to know about you. You can do anything that you want with your packet of information. And the long-term public health gains are far from clear on that. Now, wash my mouth out with castor oil. I'm going to say something very naughty, wearing a little bit of a trade union hat. There are certain things that GPs get paid for because we have access and custodianship of your medical record. I think, and I haven't taken a poll of 33,000 GPs on this, but I think most would say we do it because people are our patients and not because the income is such that we want to do medical reports. But here's a thought, if it is your information, I'm not saying it isn't patient information, then you can go with that information wherever. So the middleman, which we would see as the GP, is cut out. And like I'm saying, most GPs would probably side with relief and not say, oh, less income. But again, let's just take it a stage further. When you've got that parcel of information, and you come back from your holiday that was ruined, how can your insurance company not say, I would love to pay you, just let me check you haven't had that problem before? That's perfectly reasonable. Now, they will undoubtedly be fishing through your last 70 years to find if ever you have had anything vaguely like what you just cancelled for. But it's perfectly reasonable. And you could say no, and they'll say, well, we're very sorry, but we can't possibly pay out if we can't see it. It's all there. Just let me have a look. Similarly, personal medical attendants, insurances, they won't ask us. We won't process what we know is normal blood pressure, but with the occasional high because you're terrified. They'll say, let's just see your file. We make a decision upon your premium. We'll look through it. How can we not look through it? We need to know it. It's written there. And lastly, what about when you go for a job? You're appointed, you're successful. We'll just check out your mental health. Oh, your past illness record, because we can see it all, including when you were a teenager. No. So how does that reconcile with being good? The end of a beautiful friendship, and we have in GP education circles this thought that you invest appointment on this bank of relationship between the patient and the doctor. And that is a good thing. But when I have to hand over your whole record without any say, who here is going to say they drink 29 units of alcohol a week? Because 28 is the upper limit. Is anybody going to say they drink 29 units? Why on earth would you show the world that? And we've moved down this route before, because on the 1st of April 2004, you may not know, you lost the right in this country to be registered with a GP. And ever before you had somebody you could say was your doctor, and then they became your practice. And that's good, we're not complaining. This is the next step. You're about to be registered with the electronic healthcare community of the NHS. 500,000 people in your team. Scary thought.